Hello, welcome to Puzzle of the Week series where we're looking for edge cases in Java. I am Łukasz and today we'll be calculating absolute value of negative integers. Let's check if we find some catches here. We're taking the lowest integer value and then calculate absolute value for it. After that we're validating if result is positive. Let's check if test passes. As we can see, test failed. It looks like ABS function didn't work in this case. To explain this result, let's dive in theory how integers are represented by computers. As you know, in computers, data is represented in binary format. And the most common representation for signed integers is the 2's complement system. In this representation, the first bit denotes the sign of a number, where 0 means a positive number and 1 means a negative number. In such cases, positive numbers are represented in the usual binary form, while negative numbers are calculated by determining 2's complement of their positive counterpart, which involves inverting of all bits and adding 1. As an example, let's take 8-bit representation of number 5 in 2's completion system. So it would be 5 zeros, 1 0 1. And now if we want to calculate minus 5, then we have to invert all bits and add 1, as I said before. And this gives us 5 ones, 0 1 1. Okay, now let's talk about value ranges. So when we have 2's complement representation, and this representation is composed of n bits, it denotes that the highest possible value is 2 to the power of n minus 1, and the lowest possible value is minus 1, times 2 to the power of n minus 1. And that means that the lowest possible value has no corresponding positive representation. As an example, let's take 8-bit representation and the lowest value, minus 128. In this case, if we invert all bits and add 1, then we will receive again negative value, minus 128. And that proves that in 8-bit representation, we cannot represent 128 value. Now that we are understanding the limitations of integer numbers, there is still question why ABS function handles such edge case silently. Why it doesn't throw an exception in such case. To understand it, let's read its Java doc. As you can see, it is clearly written that in case of integer mean value, this function will return negative value. However, there is another function, absExact, and this method will throw an arithmetic exception in such case. So, if you prefer exception, which you would like to handle, then you should choose this method. So let's change it. And as you can see, in this case, we received arithmetic exception with information about overflow. That's all for today. We learned that integer numbers have their limitations and that the lowest possible value cannot be transformed into a positive one. If you suspect such an edge case in your code and want to prevent it, consider usage of big integer. Please note that if you use long type, you will encounter the same problems when you reach the lowest possible value.